The biblical account describes that the death of Saul marked the collapse of Israel's first monarchy. This event fractured the unity of the tribes, leaving Israel vulnerable to internal divisions and external threats. In a direct correlation, the Amarna Letters offer intriguing parallels, referencing the figures of Mutbaal and Tagi. These ancient correspondences highlight the power struggles and alliances following Libiah's death, mirroring the biblical account of the rise of David and the division of Israelites into two factions. The premise of this study has the central focus of identifying the figure of King David to the Amarna vassal named Tagi of Gintikirmil, and to affirm that the two Hebrew factions that emerged from the death of Saul directly parallel the two sons of Libiah who carried on their father's rebellious legacy. It is the ruler of Gath-Padala, Baal-Meher, former commander of Libiah's force, in Amarna letter number 250, who writes,
"The two sons of Libiah keep talking to me like this, saying, 'Wage war against the people of Gath for having killed our father, and if you do not wage war, then we will be your enemies.'"
One of these sons of Libiah has been identified in the Amarna letter as the ruler known as Mutbaal. The name Mutbaal in the Hurrian language is translated as man of the Lord, creating a compelling connection to the biblical name Ish-bosheth, from Ish meaning man and Baal meaning Lord. However, throughout much of the Bible, this name appears as Ish-bosheth, a deliberate play on words that transforms the meaning to man of shame. This substitution reflects the Judaic tradition's penchant for wordplay, often employed to convey theological or moral commentary. Amarna letter 255, authored by Mutbaal, reveals his willingness to restore relations with the Pharaoh, mending what his father had broken, and pledging loyalty as an Egyptian vassal. In his offer of service, he commits to safeguarding the caravans of the king of Egypt by declaring,
"Libiah, my father, used to serve the king, his lord. He himself used to send on all the caravans that the king would send to Hanagalbat. Let the king, my lord, send a caravan even to Karadunias, and I will personally conduct it under very heavy guard."
Although the identity of one of Libiah's sons is known, the identity of the second son remains a mystery. However, it is evident that he shares a deep connection with the ruler Tagi, as recorded in Amarna letter number 289, that reads,
"Elimelchu has written to Tagi and the sons of Libiah, both of you be a protection. Grant all their demands to the men of Keilah, and let us cut off Jerusalem."
The two sons of Libiah, who rose to prominence after his death, mirror the two factions of Hebrews that emerged following the death of Saul. In the biblical account, one faction was led by Saul's son, Ish-bosheth, while the other rallied behind David, who enjoyed the political backing of Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, son of Saul. The biblical account describes in details the conflict between the factions as a major event in the rise of David as the king of the Hebrews. The book of 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 1, is the passage that better represents this war.
The war between the house of Saul and the house of David lasted a long time. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker.
This war reveals another point of synchronicity in the figure of Abner, the military leader who commanded the forces of Ish-bosheth. Abner was the same man who fought alongside King Saul in the Battle of Mount Gilboa, serving as his trusted right hand. According to the biblical account in 2 Samuel chapter 2, verses 8 to 9, Abner was instrumental in establishing Ish-bosheth as a legitimate claimant to the Hebrew throne. The text records,
Abner, the commander of Saul's army, had taken Ish-bosheth, son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. He made him king over Gilead, Ashuri, and Jezreel, and also over Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel.
This study previously identified the biblical Abner as the Amarna vassal, Baal-Meher, the commander of Libiah mentioned in letter 245. He later reports a conflict with Tagi, identified here as King David, and his ally Elimelech, identified as the biblical Ahimelech. This conflict, that mirrors closely the conflict between the Hebrew factions in the Bible, is detailed in Amarna Letter 249, as Balmer writes,
O Pharaoh, what have I done to Elimelech, that he should treat my men more unjustly than his own servants? To Tagi, his father-in-law, he has handed over his own servants. And what can I myself do? They have been struck down because I am a loyal servant of the king.
Naturally, the previous connection of military leader Balmer to Libiah suggests he would align himself with his direct successor, Mutbaal. This is further supported by Amarna Letter number 255, in which Mutbaal offers to safeguard Egyptian caravans, and Amarna Letter number 249, in which Balmer reports criminal activities against Egypt carried out by the sons of Libiah. Both letters illustrate their willingness to take the same side, namely, the side of the Pharaoh. These parallels to the biblical narrative become even more compelling when considering Balmer's conflict with Tagi of Gintikirmil, closely reflecting accounts found in the biblical text. Additionally, another fascinating connection arises in Amarna Letter 256 by introducing yet a fourth figure named Ayab, whose name and actions bear a remarkable resemblance to Joab, the trusted commander of David's army, against Mutbaal. Authored by Mutbaal, the letter states,
How can it have been said in your presence, Mutbaal has fled, he has hidden from Ayab? How can the king of Pella flee from the commissioner of the king, his lord?
The mere interaction between attested historical figures named Mutbaal, Balmer, Tagi, and Ayab, either related phonetically or etymologically to the characters of Ish-bosheth, Abner, David, and Joab, should inspire awe in anyone listening. This Amarna Letter 256 seems to indicate the Pharaoh did not take Mutbaal too seriously. The Amarna military leader, identified with the Ephraimite faction of the Hebrews, seems to be responding to a rumor that he had cowardly fled the city of Pella from the commissioner called Ayab. He seems to lack so much of the trust of the Pharaoh that he has to name other Levantine figures to have his word accepted. And the names of these are just as remarkable as the ones I just cited.
I swear Ayab is not in Pella. In fact, he has been in the field for 2 months. Just ask Ben-Elima. Just ask Tadua. Just ask Yisuya.
From the list, Ben-Elima could be related to David's future father-in-law, Eliam, father of Bathsheba. The name Yisuya has the exact name of David's biological father, Yesa. And Tadua is just an alternative spelling for the Hurrian word beloved, thus translating the same as David and Tagi. After all, it would make sense for Pharaoh to trust the word of Tagi and his relatives, since he has been a vassal of Egypt for years by now. Therefore, given the characters and alliances, all these Amarna letters strongly support the biblical account of the 2-year war between the houses of David and Saul after the Battle of Mount Gilboa. In the aftermath of this war, the next chapter will explore Tagi's rise as a central figure in the quarrel against Mutbaal, and will highlight his ability to navigate the tensions between the kings of Gath and Jerusalem, which were intensified by the disparity of rewards following Libiah's death. When using the Amarna letters and the biblical account as complementary sources, in the end, this will lay the foundation for his rise as the king of the Habiru.